The smell of charcoal smoke and sizzling meat hit Marcus Rivera before he even rounded the corner of his best friend's suburban backyard, and for the first time in 3 months, he felt something close to peace. "About damn time you showed up." Derek's voice boomed across the lawn as Marcus pushed through the wooden gate, a bottle of expensive bourbon tucked under his arm. "I was starting to think you'd forgotten what a weekend looked like." Marcus grinned, embracing his friend with the kind of one-armed hug men perfected in their 20s and never quite abandoned. "Some of us actually work for a living, Thompson," says the guy who owns half the commercial real estate in the city, Derek shot back, grabbing the bourbon and examining the label with an appreciative whistle. "Jesus, Marcus, this costs more than my monthly car payment." "Then maybe you should have gone into property development instead of teaching high schoolers about the Pythagorean theorem." Derek laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. "And miss out on the joy of grading geometry tests. Never. Come on, there's someone manning the grill you need to meet." Marcus followed his friend across the lawn, nodding hellos to the handful of people scattered around the yard. He recognized a few faces from Derek's wedding 2 years ago, but most were strangers. That was fine by him. After the disaster with Vanessa, the model who had been more interested in his bank account than anything resembling actual conversation, Marcus had started preferring the company of people who did not know his net worth. Then he saw her. She stood at the massive grill Derek had installed last summer, her dark auburn hair pulled back in a messy ponytail that somehow looked effortlessly beautiful. She wore cut-off denim shorts and a faded blue tank top, and she was completely focused on the rows of burgers sizzling in front of her, a spatula in one hand and tongs in the other. Her movements were precise, practiced, flipping patties with the confidence of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. "That's Natalie," Derek said, following Marcus's gaze with a knowing smile. "She lives 3 houses down. Her daughter Maya is in my wife's book club, which apparently means I now host barbecues where Natalie does all the actual work because I burned the chicken last time." "You burned it beyond recognition," a woman's voice called from the patio. Derek's wife Sarah appeared with a platter of buns. "It was basically charcoal with bones." "It was one time," Derek protested. Marcus barely heard the exchange. He was watching the way Natalie's nose crinkled slightly as she checked the temperature of a burger, the way she shifted her weight from one foot to the other, the unconscious grace in movements most people would not notice. There was something magnetic about her presence, something that made the rest of the backyard fade slightly out of focus. "Go introduce yourself," Derek said quietly. "She could use someone decent in her life." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means her ex-husband is a piece of work who thinks child support is optional. Go be charming. I know it is buried under all those board meetings and property acquisitions, but I have seen you be charming before." Marcus shot his friend a look, but found himself walking toward the grill anyway. As he approached, Natalie glanced up and he was struck by the color of her eyes, a warm hazel that seemed to catch the afternoon sunlight. "You must be Marcus," she said, and her voice had a slight rasp to it, like honey mixed with smoke. "Derek has not shut up about you for the past week. Apparently you are some kind of real estate genius who is going to save the world one commercial property at a time." He laughed, surprised by her directness. "I think Derek might be overselling me. I just buy buildings and try not to lose money. Modest. That is refreshing." She turned back to the grill, flipping a row of burgers with practiced efficiency. Most of Derek's friends spend the first 10 minutes of conversation explaining why they are so important. "Are you calling me unimportant? I am calling you different." Pay attention to that one on the left. It is starting to flame up. Marcus looked down at the grill and saw she was right. Without thinking, he reached for the spray bottle of water sitting on the side table and gave the flames a quick spritz. The fire died down immediately. Natalie glanced at him with approval. "You have grilled before." "My dad used to drag me to every family barbecue from the time I could hold tongs. He said a man who could not grill a decent steak was not worth his salt." "Smart man. What does he think of your real estate empire?" "He thinks I should have become a chef. He passed away 5 years ago, still convinced I was wasting my potential on office buildings." Something shifted in Natalie's expression, a softening around her eyes. "I am sorry. That must have been hard." "It was. Still is sometimes." Marcus was surprised at his own honesty. He rarely talked about his father with anyone, even Derek. "What about you?" "Derek said you live nearby, 3 houses down, in the blue one with the overgrown rose bushes I keep meaning to trim. I moved here 2 years ago after my divorce." "Fresh start and all that. How is that working out?" She was quiet for a moment, transferring finished burgers to a platter. "Some days better than others. But my daughter loves the neighborhood and that is what matters. Speaking of which, could you grab that cheese from the cooler? The yellow cheddar, not the white." Marcus found himself taking orders from her for the next 20 minutes, and the strange thing was he did not mind at all. There was something comfortable about working beside her, falling into an easy rhythm of flipping burgers and arranging buns while she directed traffic with calm authority. She told him about her daughter Maya, who was 12 and obsessed with marine biology. She told him about her job managing a small chain of organic grocery stores, work she found surprisingly fulfilling after years as a corporate accountant. "Why the switch?" Marcus asked, laying strips of bacon on the grill. "Because I spent 10 years staring at spreadsheets and realized I was miserable. Life is too short to be miserable, you know. So I took a pay cut and found something that actually made me want to get out of bed in the morning. That is brave. That is necessity. I was turning into someone I did not recognize. My daughter deserved better than a mother who came home every night too exhausted to do anything but stare at the television." Marcus thought about his own life, the endless cycle of meetings and negotiations and late nights at the office. When was the last time he had done something that made him genuinely excited to wake up? The property development had been thrilling at first, the challenge of transforming neglected buildings into thriving spaces. But somewhere along the way it had become just another obligation, another item on an endless to-do list. "You are thinking too hard," Natalie said, breaking into his thoughts. "I can actually see the gears turning in your head. Sorry, occupational hazard." "What does a real estate developer think about at a backyard barbecue?" He could have deflected, made a joke, kept things light. Instead, he found himself telling the truth. "I was thinking about the last time I did something that made me genuinely happy, and realizing it has been a while." Natalie studied him for a long moment, and Marcus had the unsettling feeling she could see right through him, past the expensive watch and the tailored shirt to something more vulnerable underneath. "That is honest," she finally said. "Also kind of sad. Tell me about it." "Well, you are at a barbecue with good food and decent people. That is a start, right?" A kid came running up then, a girl with Natalie's hazel eyes and a tangle of dark curls escaping from 2 braids. She was wearing a t-shirt with a dolphin on it and carrying a book that looked far too advanced for someone her age. "Mom, can I show Derek the bioluminescence chapter? He said he did not believe me about the flashlight fish. After you eat something. And say hello to Marcus, he is Derek's friend." The girl turned her attention to him, completely unself-conscious in the way only children could be. "Hi, do you know anything about bioluminescent organisms?" "I know they glow in the dark," Marcus offered. Well, yeah, but do you know why? It is actually super interesting. There are these chemicals called luciferins, and they react with oxygen and— Maya, breathe, Natalie interrupted gently. Not everyone wants a full biology lecture before lunch. I do not mind, Marcus said, and was surprised to find he meant it. Maya launched into an enthusiastic explanation of marine bioluminescence that was way over his head, but her excitement was infectious. He found himself genuinely engaged, asking questions that made her light up even more. Natalie watched them with a soft smile, and when Maya finally ran off to find Derek, she said, "You are good with kids." "I have no idea what I am doing." "Exactly. You actually listen to her. Most adults just nod and wait for kids to stop talking. She is clearly passionate about it." "That is worth paying attention to." Something in Natalie's expression shifted, a warmth that had not been there before. "You should grab a burger before they are all gone. And some of the potato salad, Sarah actually made it from scratch. What about you?" "I will eat after everyone else is settled. Old habit from having a kid." "That seems unfair." "That is parenthood. Now go eat before I change my mind about you being decent." Marcus loaded up a plate and found himself gravitating back to the grill area, where Natalie was now wiping down surfaces and organizing condiments. They fell into an easy conversation, and he was struck by how effortless it felt. She was sharp and funny, with a self-deprecating humor that never crossed into genuine self-criticism. She asked him questions about his work that actually seemed interested in the answers, not just in how much money he made. The afternoon drifted into evening, and the backyard filled with the warm glow of string lights Derek had hung between the trees. Someone put music on, something acoustic and mellow, and people started migrating toward the fire pit Derek had built in the corner of the yard. Marcus helped Natalie clean up the grill area, and they worked in comfortable silence, punctuated by occasional observations about Derek's questionable taste in patio furniture. "That chair looks like it came from a horror movie about lawn ornaments," Natalie said, pointing at a particularly garish plastic throne Derek had apparently acquired at a yard sale. "I think it is supposed to be ironic. I think it is supposed to be a crime against good taste." Marcus laughed, a real laugh that came from somewhere deep in his chest. When was the last time he had laughed like that? Vanessa had never made him laugh, not really. Their relationship had been all surface, attractive people doing attractive things in attractive places. There had been no depth, no real connection. He had known it even then, but the realization hit him with new force now, standing next to this woman he had met only hours ago but who already felt more real than most people in his life. "So," Natalie said as they walked toward the fire pit, "Derek mentioned you have a place downtown. One of those fancy high-rise condos that normal people only see in magazines. It is not that fancy." "Liar." "I bet you have floor-to-ceiling windows and one of those kitchens that looks like a spaceship." "The kitchen is very normal. The windows are admittedly excessive." "What floor?" 32nd. She whistled low. "Must be some view." "It is. You should see it sometime." The words were out before Marcus could stop them, and he immediately wanted to kick himself. Too forward, too presumptuous. But Natalie just smiled, a small, knowing smile that made his heart do something complicated in his chest. "That is a bold invitation for someone you met 4 hours ago." "Sorry, I did not mean. I am messing with you. Your face is bright red. It is adorable." "I do not do adorable. You are doing it right now." They settled into seats around the fire pit, and Maya immediately claimed the spot next to Marcus, launching into another enthusiastic explanation about deep-sea creatures. Natalie sat on his other side, close enough that he could smell her perfume, something light and citrusy that made him think of summer mornings. He was acutely aware of her presence, the way she leaned forward when someone was talking, the way she absently tucked stray hairs behind her ear. Derek caught his eye from across the fire and gave him an extremely unsubtle thumbs up. Marcus resisted the urge to throw something at him. As the night wore on and the fire burned down to embers, people started drifting away. Sarah went inside to deal with some work emails, and Derek followed her after extracting a promise from Marcus to help clean up. Soon it was just the three of them, Marcus and Natalie and Maya, who had fallen asleep in her chair with her marine biology book open on her lap. "I should get her home," Natalie said softly, looking at her daughter with an expression of such pure love that Marcus felt something twist in his chest. "Let me help. I can carry her if you want." "You do not have to do that, I know. But that chair does not look comfortable, and she deserves better than waking up with a crick in her neck." Natalie studied him for a moment, and Marcus had the sense he was being evaluated, measured against some invisible standard. Whatever she saw must have passed muster because she nodded. "Okay, thank you." Marcus carefully lifted Maya from the chair, surprised by how light she was, how fragile. She stirred slightly but did not wake, just settled against his chest with a soft sigh. He followed Natalie out of Derek's backyard and down the quiet suburban street, acutely aware of the picture they must make. A man carrying a sleeping child while a woman walked beside him. It felt domestic, comfortable in a way that should have terrified him, but instead felt oddly right. Natalie's house was indeed blue with overgrown rose bushes. A modest two-story with a porch swing and a garden that clearly got more attention than the landscaping. She unlocked the door and led him upstairs to Maya's room, a space covered in ocean posters and books stacked on every available surface. Marcus laid Maya gently on her bed, and Natalie pulled a blanket over her daughter, brushing a kiss against her forehead. The tenderness of the gesture made something ache in Marcus's chest, a longing for something he could not quite name. They retreated downstairs, and Natalie walked him to the door, leaning against the frame with her arms crossed. The porch light cast shadows across her face, making her eyes seem darker, more mysterious. "Thank you for today," she said quietly. "Maya really liked you. She does not warm up to people easily, especially not men after her father pulled his disappearing act. She is a great kid. You are doing an amazing job with her. I am trying. Some days I feel like I am failing spectacularly, but I am trying. From where I am standing, you are succeeding." Natalie smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "You are either very kind or very good at saying the right thing." "Maybe both. Dangerous combination." They stood there for a moment, the night air warm and still around them. Marcus knew he should leave, should walk back to Derek's house and collect his car and drive back to his sterile high-rise apartment. Instead, he found himself saying, "Can I see you again? Not at Derek's barbecue, just us." "Are you asking me on a date, Marcus Rivera?" "Yes, definitely yes." Natalie tilted her head, considering. "I do not date much. Actually, I do not date at all. Between work and Maya, there is not a lot of time for complicated romantic entanglements with real estate developers." "What about uncomplicated romantic entanglements?" she laughed, a surprised burst of sound that made him grin. "You are persistent. One of my more annoying qualities. Fine." Coffee. Saturday morning before I have to take Maya to her swim lesson. There is a place called Rosie's near the library. 9 o'clock. If you are late, I am leaving. I will be early. We will see. Marcus walked back to Derek's house feeling lighter than he had in months, maybe years. His best friend was waiting on the porch, grinning like an idiot. "So," Derek said. "Natalie, shut up." "I saw you carry Maya home. That was smooth." I said, "Shut up. You like her. You actually like her. This is amazing. I have not seen you genuinely interested in someone since college. Marcus wanted to deny it to play it cool, but the truth was Derek was right. He did like Natalie, liked her in a way that felt different from anything he had experienced before. It was not just attraction, though she was undeniably beautiful. It was something deeper, something that had sparked to life during those hours at the grill, falling into easy rhythm beside her. She is special, Marcus admitted. She is. And she has been through hell with her ex. So if you are going to do this, do it right. No games, no bullshit. She deserves someone real. I know. Good. Now help me carry these chairs inside before Sarah kills me for leaving them out again. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of bright sunshine that made everything feel possible. Marcus showed up at Rosie's at 8:45, which he told himself was appropriately early without being desperate. He ordered a black coffee and claimed a table by the window, watching the street for any sign of Natalie. She arrived at exactly 9 o'clock, wearing jeans and a green blouse that brought out the color in her eyes. Her hair was down, falling in soft waves around her shoulders, and Marcus forgot how to breathe for a second. "You are early," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. "You are exactly on time." "I am always exactly on time," comes from years of having to coordinate a kid's schedule with a job that does not care about parent-teacher conferences. "What can I get you?" "Cappuccino, extra foam, and one of those blueberry muffins if they have any left." Marcus went to the counter and returned with her order plus a chocolate croissant. He suspected she would steal bites from even though she had not asked for it. He was right. She broke off a piece within 5 minutes, making a small sound of appreciation that did interesting things to his pulse. "So," Natalie said, cupping her hands around the coffee mug, "tell me about this real estate empire Derek keeps mentioning. And be honest, because I am going to Google you later anyway." Marcus laughed. "Fair enough. I started buying properties about 8 years ago, right after the market crashed. Mostly commercial buildings in areas people thought were declining but I thought had potential. Fixed them up, found good tenants, watched the neighborhoods come back to life. Rinse and repeat. That sounds like a massive oversimplification. It is. The reality involves a lot of contractors who disappear in the middle of projects and city permits that make you want to throw your laptop out a window. But the basic idea is sound. Buy low, invest in the community, create something people actually want to be part of. And you make a lot of money doing this." "I do okay," Natalie raised an eyebrow. "Derek said you are worth somewhere in the 8-figure range." Marcus felt heat creep up his neck. Derek talks too much, so it is true. The number fluctuates depending on the market. "But yes, I have done well for myself. Is that a problem?" "I do not know yet. Money makes people weird. My ex-husband became a different person once he started making decent money at his firm. Suddenly I was not good enough, the house was not good enough, our life was not ambitious enough." "I am not your ex-husband. I know. But you can understand why I am cautious. Completely. For what it is worth, money has mostly just made my life lonelier. Turns out a lot of people are more interested in your bank account than in you as a person." Natalie was quiet for a moment, studying him over the rim of her coffee cup. "That model Derek mentioned, the one from last year, that did not end well, Vanessa. And no, it did not. She was great for about 3 months, right up until I realized she was more interested in being photographed at expensive restaurants than in having actual conversations. The final straw was when she invited a tabloid photographer to what I thought was a private dinner. Ouch. Yeah. After that, I took a break from dating. Focused on work, told myself I was better off alone. And then I met you at a barbecue, and suddenly alone sounds terrible." The words hung in the air between them. more honest than Marcus had intended. Natalie's expression softened and she reached across the table to touch his hand just briefly, but the contact sent electricity up his arm. "I like you, Marcus. I do. But I have a kid and she has to come first, always. If this is going to be something, you need to understand that. I cannot be spontaneous or drop everything for last-minute trips to wine country. My life is structured around a 12-year-old schedule, and that is not going to change. I would not want it to. Maya is incredible. You are incredible for raising her the way you have. I am not looking for something casual or easy. I am looking for something real." That is a big statement for a second meeting. I know what I want. One of the advantages of being older and having money is that I do not have to waste time pretending otherwise. Natalie smiled, and it transformed her whole face, made her look younger and freer. "Okay then, let us see where this goes, but fair warning, I am probably going to overthink everything and have minor panic attacks about whether this is a good idea. I will try to be worth the panic attacks." "You better be." They talked until Natalie had to leave for Maya's swim lesson, and then Marcus walked her to her car, a practical Honda that was clean but clearly had some years on it. As she unlocked the door, he found himself not wanting the morning to end, wanting to extend this moment where everything felt full of possibility. "Can I see you again?" he asked. "Maybe dinner sometime this week. I have to find a babysitter. Maya's usual one is on vacation." "What if I came to you? I could bring food we could eat after Maya goes to bed. Low pressure, no need to arrange childcare." Natalie looked surprised. "You would be okay with that. Why would I not be?" Most guys run screaming when they realize dating a single mom means working around a kid's schedule. Then most guys are idiots. How does Tuesday sound? Tuesday is good. Come around 7, Maya goes to bed at 8:30 on school nights. I will be there. Tuesday took forever to arrive. Marcus spent the intervening days trying to focus on work and failing spectacularly. He caught himself staring out his office window, thinking about the way Natalie's nose crinkled when she smiled, the sound of her laugh, the easy way she had with her daughter. His assistant noticed his distraction and commented on it, which he ignored with as much dignity as he could muster. He showed up at Natalie's house at 6:55 with bags of Thai food and a bouquet of sunflowers he had grabbed on impulse from a street vendor. Natalie answered the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, her hair piled on top of her head in a messy bun, and Marcus thought she had never looked more beautiful. "You brought flowers," she said, taking the sunflowers with a surprised smile. "They reminded me of you. Bright and unpretentious. Is that your way of calling me simple? That is my way of saying you are genuine. Do not ruin the compliment by overthinking it." Maya appeared behind her mother, grinning when she saw Marcus. "Did you bring pad thai? Mom never orders enough pad thai." "I brought extra. He is my new favorite person, sorry Mom." They ate at the kitchen table, which was covered in school papers and library books and what looked like a science project in progress. Maya dominated the conversation, talking about her swim team and a field trip coming up to the aquarium. Marcus found himself drawn into her enthusiasm, asking questions and getting detailed answers about competitive swimming strokes and the difference between an octopus and a squid. Natalie watched them with that soft expression again, the one that made Marcus feel like he was doing something right even though he was just being himself. After dinner, Maya disappeared upstairs to finish homework, and Marcus helped Natalie clean up the kitchen. They moved around each other easily, falling into a rhythm that felt practiced even though it was not. Natalie washed while Marcus dried, and they talked about everything and nothing her day at work, dealing with a produce supplier who kept sending overripe avocados. His ongoing battle with a contractor who thought building codes were suggestions rather than requirements. "You are easy to talk to," Natalie said, handing him a wet plate. "So are you. I feel like I can say anything and you will not judge me for it." "Oh, I am definitely judging you. I am just keeping my judgments to myself until I know you better." "That is fair." They moved to the living room after the kitchen was clean, settling on opposite ends of the couch with mugs of tea. The house was quiet except for the distant sound of Maya's music drifting down from upstairs. It felt domestic and comfortable, and Marcus realized with a start that he had never felt this relaxed in Vanessa's pristine apartment, where everything was white and expensive and untouchable. "Can I ask you something personal?" Natalie said, tucking her feet under her. "Go ahead." "Derek said you grew up without a lot of money, that you built everything yourself. Is that true?" "Yeah. My parents were immigrants from Mexico. They worked 3 jobs between them to keep us fed and housed. I learned about hard work from watching them kill themselves to give me opportunities they never had. When my dad died, he left me about $5,000 and a letter telling me to build something that mattered, so I did. That must have been incredibly hard. It was. Still is sometimes. I spent years feeling like I had to prove something, like if I did not succeed spectacularly, I would be letting them down. It took me a long time to realize that they would have been proud of me no matter what, just for trying." Natalie reached over and took his hand, lacing her fingers through his. The gesture was simple but felt monumental, a bridging of the space between them. "They would be proud of you," she said quietly. "What you have built, who you have become, that is worth celebrating. What about you? You said you left corporate accounting to manage grocery stores." "That must have felt risky." "Terrifying, actually. I had a kid to support and a mortgage, and I was walking away from steady money for something that paid significantly less. But I was so miserable. I was snapping at Meyer over nothing, crying in my car before I went into the office. Something had to change, so I made it change." "Does your ex help out?" Natalie's expression hardened. "Brian pays child support when he remembers to, which is about half the time. He sees Maya maybe once every 2 months, usually when his girlfriend is busy and he is bored. He moved to California 2 years ago and acts like being a father is some kind of hobby he can pick up and put down whenever it suits him. He sounds like an asshole. He is. But he is also Maya's father, so I have to be careful about what I say around her. She still loves him, even though he keeps disappointing her. It breaks my heart every time he cancels plans or forgets her birthday." Marcus felt a surge of anger toward this man he had never met, this person who had the privilege of being Maya's father and treated it like an inconvenience. He thought about the way Maya had lit up talking about bioluminescence, the sharp intelligence in her eyes, the pure potential of who she could become. She deserved better than a part-time father who could not be bothered to show up. "She has you," Marcus said. "That counts for a lot." "I hope so." "Some days I feel like I am doing everything wrong, like I am failing her in 1,000 small ways." "You are not. Trust me, that kid is happy and brilliant and kind. You are doing something very right." Natalie's eyes got suspiciously bright, and she blinked rapidly. "You are going to make me cry, stop it, sorry." "No, you are not." "No, I am not." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, hands still linked, the weight of the day settling around them. Marcus felt something loosening in his chest, some tension he had been carrying for so long he had forgotten it was there. This was what he had been missing, he realized. Not romance in the abstract, not dates at expensive restaurants with beautiful women who did not understand him. This. Connection. Honesty. The simple pleasure of sitting on a couch with someone who saw him as a person rather than a bank account. "I should probably go," he said eventually, even though everything in him wanted to stay, probably. but I am glad you came. Can I see you again? Maybe this weekend we could do something with Maya. Take her to that aquarium she mentioned, let her bore us with fish facts. Natalie smiled. She would love that. Fair warning, she will talk non-stop for the entire trip. I am counting on it. He left a few minutes later, driving back to his downtown apartment with the distinct feeling that his life had just tilted on its axis. Everything looked different somehow, the city lights brighter, the streets more alive. He felt 25 again, full of possibility and energy, like anything could happen. His phone buzzed with a text as he pulled into his building's garage. It was from Natalie. "Thank you for tonight. You make this single mom thing feel a little less lonely." Marcus stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Thank you for letting me in. I will see you Saturday." The aquarium trip was everything Marcus hoped it would be and more. Maya was a whirlwind of excitement, dragging them from exhibit to exhibit with boundless enthusiasm. She rattled off facts about every creature they encountered, correcting the informational plaques when they got details wrong, which was apparently often. "Did you know that jellyfish do not have brains?" She informed them at the jellyfish exhibit. "They have nerve nets instead. And they have been around for over 500 million years, which means they are older than dinosaurs." "How cool is that?" "Very cool," Marcus agreed and meant it. Natalie walked beside him, their shoulders brushing occasionally, and every accidental contact felt charged with meaning. At one point, Maya ran ahead to look at the touch tank, and Natalie slipped her hand into his, a casual gesture that made his heart rate spike. "She likes you," Natalie said softly. "She did not stop talking about you all week. Apparently you are almost as interesting as bioluminescent squid, which is high praise in Maya's world. I like her too. She is smart as hell and not afraid to show it. That is rare. Her father used to tell her to tone it down, that boys did not like girls who were too smart. I nearly murdered him. Good thing he is in California then. Very good thing." They spent 4 hours at the aquarium, and by the end, Marcus's feet hurt and his brain was full of marine biology facts he would probably never use. But watching Maya's face light up with every new discovery, feeling Natalie's hand in his as they walked through the underwater tunnel with sharks gliding overhead, he could not remember being happier. They got ice cream afterward, sitting at a picnic table outside the shop while Maya methodically worked through a cone of mint chocolate chip. The afternoon sun was warm on Marcus's face, and he felt profoundly content, like all the pieces of his life were finally clicking into place. "This was perfect," Natalie said, echoing his thoughts. "Thank you for suggesting it. We should do it again. Maybe the Science Museum next time. I bet Maya would love the planetarium. Are you trying to become a permanent fixture in our lives, Marcus Rivera?" "Yes. Is it working?" Natalie smiled, that full, unguarded smile that made everything else fade away. "Yes, it is definitely working." The weeks that followed fell into a pattern that felt both new and comfortable. Marcus found himself spending more and more time at Natalie's house, bringing dinner, helping Maya with homework, fixing small things that had broken and never been repaired. He replaced the loose board on the porch steps, oiled the squeaky hinges on the kitchen cabinets, and installed a new light fixture in the upstairs bathroom that Natalie had been meaning to deal with for months. "You do not have to do all this," she protested, watching him work on the bathroom light. "I know, but I want to. Let me help." "It feels like I am taking advantage of you." "You are not. I like being useful. Most of my day is spent in meetings or on phone calls negotiating with people I do not particularly like. This is a nice change." He started keeping a toothbrush at her house, then a change of clothes, then a whole drawer in her dresser that Natalie cleared out without comment, but with a smile that told him everything he needed to know. They fell asleep on the couch together during movies, woke up tangled together under the throw blanket Natalie's grandmother had made. It felt natural, inevitable, like they had been moving toward this point since that first afternoon at Derek's barbecue. They kissed for the first time on a Thursday night, 3 weeks after the aquarium trip. Maya was at a sleepover, and they had the house to themselves for the first time. They were washing dishes after dinner, and Natalie was telling a story about a customer who had tried to return a watermelon because it was not seedless despite the very clear label. And Marcus just leaned over and kissed her, tasting dish soap and wine and something uniquely her. She froze for a second, then melted into him, her wet hands coming up to frame his face. The kiss deepened, and Marcus felt the world narrow to just this, just her, the press of her lips and the soft sound she made in the back of her throat. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard, and Natalie was looking at him with wide eyes. "I have been wanting to do that for weeks," Marcus admitted. "What took you so long?" "I was trying to be respectful, take things slow." "I appreciate that. But we can speed things up a little now." They kissed again, slower this time, learning the shape of each other. Marcus felt like a teenager, dizzy with the simple pleasure of holding someone he cared about. His hands found her waist, pulling her closer, and she made that sound again, and he thought he might die happy right here in her kitchen with dish suds still on his hands. They ended up on the couch, kissing like they were running out of time, hands exploring with increasing boldness. Marcus felt Natalie's fingers slip under his shirt, skating across his skin, and he groaned into her mouth. He wanted more, wanted everything, but this was enough, this was perfect, this was exactly what he had been missing his entire life without knowing it. "I am falling for you," he said against her lips, unable to hold the words back any longer. Natalie pulled back slightly, searching his face. "That is a big statement, I know, but it is true. I have never felt like this about anyone. You and Maya, you have become the most important part of my day. I think about you when I am supposed to be working. I bought a book about marine biology so I could keep up with Maya's conversations. I am in this, Natalie, completely in this." Her eyes were bright, and he could not tell if she was about to cry or smile or both. "I am falling for you too. I have been fighting it because I am terrified of getting hurt again, of letting Maya get attached to someone who might leave, but I do not think I can fight it anymore. You are kind and patient, and you actually listen when people talk. You make me laugh. You make me feel like maybe I am allowed to want things for myself, not just for my daughter. You are allowed to want everything. Then I want you. I want this." They kissed again, and it felt like a promise, like the sealing of something important. Marcus knew in that moment that he was never going to be the same, that Natalie and Maya had changed something fundamental in him. All the money and success and property development in the world paled in comparison to this, to the simple joy of being wanted by someone who saw him clearly and chose him anyway. The summer drifted into fall, and Marcus found his entire life reorienting around Natalie and Maya. He started leaving work earlier, prioritizing dinners and swim meets and lazy weekend mornings at Natalie's house. His assistant commented on the change, and so did Derek, but Marcus did not care. For the first time in years, he felt like he was living instead of just working, like his life had color and dimension beyond the next deal or acquisition. He met Natalie's friends, a tight-knit group of women who eyed him with suspicion until he helped clean up after a book club meeting, and did not complain when they made him sit through a very detailed discussion of a romance novel he had not read. He met Maya's swim team parents, who seemed surprised that Natalie was dating someone, and even more surprised when Marcus showed up to every meet. cheering loudly from the bleachers. "You do not have to come to all of these," Natalie said after one particularly long meet where Maya's team had placed third. "I want to. Maya works hard, she deserves support. Her father has never come to a single meet. I am not her father. No, you are better." The words hit Marcus in the chest, and he had to look away for a second to compose himself. He thought about his own father, the way he had shown up for every school play and soccer game despite working double shifts. The greatest gift his parents had given him was their presence, the knowledge that they would be there. If he could give that to Maya, even in a small way, it would mean everything. As the leaves turned and the weather cooled, Marcus started thinking about the future in concrete terms. He wanted this permanently, wanted to build something real with Natalie. But there was a problem, and it had been nagging at him for weeks. His condo downtown was beautiful and expensive and completely unsuitable for a family. It was all hard edges and modern furniture, 32 floors above the nearest park. Maya would hate it, and Natalie's house was great but small, already bursting at the seams with one kid and now essentially 2 adults. He started looking at houses without telling anyone, browsing listings during lunch breaks. He wanted something with a yard for Maya, a big kitchen for family dinners, space for Natalie's books and his office, and all the accumulated stuff of a shared life. It felt presumptuous, planning for a future they had not explicitly discussed. But Marcus had never been good at doing things halfway, and he was all in on them. He found the house on a rainy October afternoon. It was in the same neighborhood as Derek and Sarah, a craftsman-style home with a wraparound porch and a massive backyard. It needed work. The kitchen was dated, the bathrooms needed updating, and the landscaping looked like a jungle, but the bones were solid. Marcus could picture Maya doing homework at the kitchen table. Picture lazy Sunday mornings on that porch. Picture a life that felt full and real and completely different from the sterile existence he had been living. He bought it the next day, made an offer so high the sellers accepted immediately without negotiation. Then he panicked, because he had just purchased a house for a family that did not technically exist yet. He had not even told Natalie he loved her, not explicitly, and here he was buying real estate for their hypothetical future. Derek nearly choked on his coffee when Marcus told him. "You bought a what? A house. A big one with a yard. For you and Natalie. And Maya, yes. Have you asked Natalie to move in with you? Not yet. Jesus, Marcus, that is cart before horse by about a mile, I know. But I saw it and I could picture us there, all of us. I could not let it go." Derek shook his head, but he was smiling. "You have got it bad, man, like, really bad." "What are you going to do if she says no?" "She will not. You sound very confident for someone who has been dating for less than 6 months. I know what I want, and I am pretty sure she wants it too. Pretty sure is not certainty. Nothing is certain, but I am willing to bet on this, on us." Marcus waited until the weekend to bring it up, until after they had spent a lazy Saturday morning making pancakes with Maya and watching her practice her presentation on sea turtles for school. He waited until Maya had gone to a friend's house, until it was just him and Natalie curled up on the couch with mugs of cider, the fall sunlight streaming through the windows. "I need to tell you something," he said, setting down his mug. Natalie turned to face him, concern flickering in her eyes. "That sounds serious. Should I be worried?" "No, at least I hope not. I bought a house," she blinked. "A house. A big one in this neighborhood actually, about 6 blocks from here." "That is great. Congratulations. I bought it for us, for you and me and Maya, if you want it. If you are ready for that." Natalie went very still, and Marcus could practically see her brain working, processing what he had just said. He rushed to fill the silence. "I know it is fast. I know we have only been together for a few months and this is crazy and presumptuous. But I love you, Natalie. I am completely in love with you and Maya, and I want to build a life with you. A real life in a house that is ours, not mine or yours, but ours. I want family dinners and swim meets and arguments about whose turn it is to do dishes. I want all of it, the messy, complicated, beautiful reality of being together. And if that is too much too soon, if I am scaring you off, tell me now and I will slow down. But I do not want to pretend I am not all in, because I am. Completely. Natalie stared at him, eyes wide and bright, and for a horrible moment Marcus thought he had miscalculated, pushed too hard, ruined everything. Then she started laughing, a slightly hysterical sound that made him panic even more. "You bought a house," she repeated. "I did. Without telling me. I know it was stupid. It was insane. It was totally, completely insane. I am sorry." "No, you are not. No, I am not." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face even as she laughed. "You are ridiculous. You are the most ridiculous man I have ever met. Who does that? Who buys a house before even saying I love you? I am saying it now. I love you. I am madly, stupidly in love with you. I love you too, you insane person. I have loved you since that first barbecue when you actually listened to my daughter talk about flashlight fish for 20 minutes straight. I have been terrified to say it, terrified of what it might mean, but I love you." Marcus pulled her into his arms and she was shaking, half laughing and half crying, and he held her tight, feeling like the luckiest man alive. "Is that a yes to the house? I have not even seen it. It needs work. The kitchen is from the 90s and the yard is a disaster, but it has space and light and a huge porch Maya can sit on to read her ocean books. We can make it ours. This is crazy. I know. I have a kid. We come as a package deal. You are signing up for school events and teenage drama and college funds. I know. I want all of it." Natalie pulled back to look at him, searching his face for any hint of doubt. Whatever she found must have satisfied her because she smiled, that full, unguarded smile that still made his heart skip. "Okay. Okay. Yes. Show me this house you bought for us, this ridiculous, impulsive gesture that should probably terrify me but somehow does not." They drove to the house immediately, pulling up in front of the Craftsman with its peeling paint and overgrown garden. Marcus felt suddenly nervous, worried that Natalie would see all the flaws, the work that needed to be done. But she climbed out of the car and stood on the sidewalk, staring at the house with an expression he could not quite read. "It is perfect," she said softly. "It needs a lot of work. It is still perfect. Look at that porch. Meyer is going to love that porch." They walked through the house hand in hand, and Marcus pointed out everything that needed fixing, every outdated fixture and worn floorboard. But Natalie was not looking at the problems. She was looking at the potential, the high ceilings and beautiful woodwork, the way sunlight streamed through the big windows. "We could put your office here," she said, walking through what was currently a dated sitting room. "And Maya's room should be the one upstairs with the window seat. She has always wanted a window seat. You are already planning." "Of course I am. This is our house now, our home." They ended up on the porch, sitting on the steps because there was no furniture yet. Natalie leaned her head on Marcus's shoulder and he wrapped an arm around her, feeling the rightness of this moment settle into his bones. "When do you want to tell Maya?" he asked. "Tonight. She's going to lose her mind. She has been hinting very unsubtly that she thinks we should all live together. Smart kid. The smartest. They told Meyer over pizza that evening and Natalie was right. She lost her mind. She screamed so loud the neighbors probably heard, then launched herself at Marcus in a hug that nearly knocked him over. "Are you going to be my dad?" she asked, pulling back to look at him with shining eyes. Marcus glanced at Natalie, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "If you want me to be. I know you have a father and I am not trying to replace him, but I love you and your mom and I want to be part of your family." "He is not my father," Maya said fiercely. "He is just the guy who was there when I was born. You are more of a dad than he has ever been. You came to my swim meets. You listen when I talk about ocean stuff. You make my mom happy. So yeah, I want you to be my dad." Marcus felt his eyes burn, felt emotion swell in his chest until he could barely breathe. He looked at Natalie and saw she was crying too, happy tears that she was not bothering to wipe away. "Then I will be your dad," he managed to say. "I will be the best dad I can be." Maya hugged him again, and then they were all hugging, a tangled mess of arms and tears and laughter. Marcus thought about his own father, the man who had worked himself to exhaustion to give his son opportunities. He hoped his dad could see this somehow, could know that the boy he had raised was going to be a father now, was going to pass on all those lessons about hard work and showing up and loving people with everything you had. They moved in together a month later, after a whirlwind of packing and renovations. Marcus hired a crew to update the kitchen and bathrooms, but he did a lot of the work himself, wanting to put his own hands into making this house a home. Natalie painted Maya's room a shade of blue-green that reminded them all of the ocean, and they installed shelves for her ever-growing collection of marine biology books. Derek and Sarah hosted a housewarming party that felt more like a celebration of family than a simple gathering. Marcus stood in his new backyard, watching Natalie laugh with her friends, watching Maya chase Derek's dog around the garden, and felt a peace he had never experienced before. This was what he had been searching for without knowing it, this messy, beautiful, ordinary life with people he loved. As the evening wound down and guests started leaving, Natalie found him on the porch, the same porch where they had sat months ago planning their future. "Happy?" she asked, sliding her arms around his waist, deliriously. "You, more than I thought possible. Thank you for being patient with me, for understanding that I came with complications. You do not have complications. You have a life, a rich, full life that you were generous enough to let me join. You make it sound so noble. Most people would see a single mom with an ex-husband who barely pays child support as baggage. Those people are idiots," she laughed, the sound carrying into the quiet evening. "I love you, Marcus Rivera. I love you for buying a ridiculous house. I love you for learning about bioluminescence. I love you for showing up. I love you too, both of you, my family." They kissed as the sun set behind the trees, and Marcus thought about the path that had led him here, from that backyard barbecue to this porch, this house, this life. 6 months ago he had been successful but lonely, rich but empty. Now he had everything that mattered: love, family, purpose beyond the next business deal. 6 months after moving in together, Marcus proposed. Not with a huge production or public spectacle, but quietly, on a random Tuesday evening after Maya had gone to bed. They were doing dishes, falling into their usual rhythm, and Marcus just pulled the ring from his pocket and asked Natalie to marry him. She said yes before he even finished the question, laughing and crying at the same time, soap suds still on her hands as he slipped the ring onto her finger. It was simple and perfect, exactly like them. They got married in the backyard of their home 6 months later, a small ceremony with Derek officiating and Maya serving as maid of honor. Natalie wore a simple white dress and flowers in her hair, and when Marcus saw her walking toward him across their lawn, he felt his throat close up with emotion. "You look beautiful," he whispered when she reached him. "You clean up pretty well yourself," she whispered back, eyes bright. Maya stood beside them as they exchanged vows, and when Derek asked if anyone objected, She loudly announced that she objected to them taking this long to get married. The laughter that rippled through their small group of guests was full of love and joy. "I, Marcus Rivera, take you, Natalie Chen, to be my wife," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "I promise to show up every single day, even when it is hard. I promise to support your dreams and encourage Maya's passions. I promise to be your partner in every sense of the word. I promise to love you for the rest of my life and beyond." Natalie's vows were equally simple and profound, a promise to build a life together, to face whatever came with honesty and courage and love. When Derek pronounced them married, Marcus kissed his wife with everything he had, pouring years of loneliness and months of joy into that single moment. Maya cheered loudly, and so did everyone else, and Marcus thought his heart might burst from happiness. The reception was casual and warm, full of good food and dancing, and the kind of easy celebration that came from being surrounded by people who genuinely cared about you. Marcus danced with Natalie to a song they both loved, then danced with Maya, who stood on his feet like she had done at their rehearsal dinner, beaming up at him with complete trust. "This is the best day ever," she said. "For me too, kiddo. Can I really call you Dad now, like officially?" "You can call me whatever feels right. I am going to call you Dad. And when people ask, I am going to tell them you are my father, not that guy in California, you." Marcus had to blink hard to keep from crying in the middle of the dance floor. "I would be honored. I love you, Maya." "I love you too, Dad." That night, after the guests had left and Maya had finally gone to bed exhausted from excitement, Marcus and Natalie sat on their porch swing, still in their wedding clothes, watching the stars. "We did it," Natalie said softly. "We are married. We are. No backing out now. Would not dream of it. You are stuck with me and my ocean-obsessed daughter forever." "That sounds perfect." They sat in comfortable silence, the swing creaking gently, and Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. From that backyard barbecue where he had watched her flip burgers with confident precision, to this porch where they were starting their married life together. It had only been a year, but it felt like they had been building toward this moment forever. "You ever regret it?" Natalie asked. "Giving up your bachelor lifestyle for family dinners and swim meets?" "Not for a single second. That was not a life. It was just existence. This is living. You and Maya, you taught me what living actually means. You gave us stability and love and someone who actually shows up." "That is not nothing. I got the better end of the deal, trust me." Natalie laughed softly, snuggling closer. "Let us call it even." A year later, they welcomed a son, James Marcus Rivera. He came into the world screaming with impressive lung power, and Maya immediately declared him the coolest baby ever born. Marcus held his son for the first time and felt a profound sense of gratitude for this child, for Maya, for Natalie, for the entire impossible, beautiful life they had built together. "He is perfect," Marcus said, staring down at James's tiny face. "He looks like you," Natalie said from the hospital bed, tired but radiant. "Poor kid. Stop it. You are handsome and our son is beautiful." Maya peered over Marcus's arm, examining her baby brother with intense focus. "Do you think he will like marine biology? I could start teaching him early." "Let him get through infancy first," Natalie said, but she was smiling. "I am just saying it is never too early to start learning about the ocean." They brought James home to the house Marcus had bought on impulse, the house that had become the center of their universe. The first few months were exhausting, full of sleepless nights and endless feedings. But Marcus had never been happier. He woke up for 2 a.m. feedings and changed diapers and walked James around the house singing off-key lullabies. He watched Maya help with her brother with gentle competence, saw Natalie bloom into motherhood again with more confidence than she had the first time. "I have you as backup this time," she said one night when Marcus found her nursing James in the rocking chair they had set up in the nursery. "It makes everything easier knowing I am not doing this alone. You are never going to be alone again. We are in this together. Promise, promise." Derek visited often, bringing food and offering to hold the baby so Natalie could shower. He and Sarah had announced their own pregnancy shortly after James was born, and the two couples spent hours discussing the joys and terrors of parenthood. "You look happy," Derek said one afternoon, watching Marcus burp James with practiced ease. "Like, genuinely happy. Not successful or satisfied, but actually happy." "I am. For the first time in my life, I feel like I am exactly where I am supposed to be. That is big. It is everything." Marcus's business continued to thrive, but he approached it differently now. He left the office at reasonable hours, took weekends off, and turned down deals that would require him to travel extensively. His priorities had shifted, and surprisingly, his business had not suffered. If anything, it had gotten stronger. He was more focused during work hours, more decisive, because he had something important waiting for him at home. He started a foundation with some of his wealth, focused on providing opportunities for kids from low-income backgrounds. He thought about his own parents, the sacrifices they had made, and wanted to make it easier for other families. Natalie helped him run it, bringing her organizational skills and genuine compassion to every decision. Together, they built something that mattered beyond profit margins and property values. Maya thrived in her new family. She excelled in school, made the advanced swim team, and started talking about becoming a marine biologist with the same intensity she brought to everything. She called Marcus Dad without hesitation, and when Brian called on her birthday, late as always, she was polite but distant. She had a father now, one who showed up and kept his promises. The years unfolded with the kind of ordinary magic that made up a real life. Birthday parties and school plays and family vacations to the coast where Maya could indulge her ocean obsession. Arguments about chores and homework, followed by apologies and forgiveness. Quiet moments on the porch swing, Natalie's head on Marcus's shoulder while they watched their kids play in the yard. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Marcus and Natalie returned to the spot where they had first met, Derek's backyard. Their friend was hosting another barbecue, and Natalie insisted on manning the grill again. "For old time's sake," she said, spatula in hand. Marcus stood beside her exactly as he had that first day, and they fell into the same easy rhythm. But everything was different now. The single mom grilling burgers was his wife. The kid running around with Derek's children was his daughter. The baby in the carrier strapped to his chest was his son. "What are you thinking about?" Natalie asked, flipping burgers with the same practiced precision that had first caught his attention. "How lucky I am. How one afternoon changed my entire life. You changed mine too, you know. I had given up on the idea that I could have a partner, someone who would love me and Maya equally. Then you showed up in your expensive shirt and helped me grill burgers. Best decision I ever made." "Which part? Helping with the burgers or falling in love with me?" "Both. All of it. Every single moment that led us here." Natalie set down her spatula and turned to face him, ignoring the sizzling grill for a moment. "I love you, Marcus Rivera. Thank you for seeing me that day, for taking a chance on a single mom with a complicated life. Thank you for letting me in, for making me part of your family, for giving me everything I did not even know I needed." They kissed, gentle and sweet, while their friends cheered and their kids made exaggerated gagging noises. Marcus pulled back, laughing, and James gurgled happily in his carrier. "We should probably finish cooking before Derek's guests revolt," Natalie said, but her eyes were soft with love. "Probably." They returned to their task, working side by side as they had learned to do in all aspects of their life together. Marcus thought about the man he had been before that barbecue, lonely and successful but fundamentally unfulfilled. He thought about how close he had come to missing this, to continuing down that path of empty accomplishments and hollow relationships. But he had not missed it. He had walked into a backyard, seen a woman grilling burgers with confidence and grace, and had the wisdom to recognize something real when he saw it. Everything that came after, the coffee dates and dinners, the house and the proposal, the children and the foundation and the life they had built, all of it stemmed from that single moment of connection. As the sun set and the party continued around them, Marcus wrapped his arms around his wife, baby James between them, and watched Maya splash in Derek's pool with her friends. This was his family. This was his home. This was the life he had built from nothing, and it was more valuable than any property or business deal could ever be. "Happy?" Natalie asked, the same question she always asked. "Deliriously," Marcus answered, the same answer he always gave, and it was true. Despite the chaos and the challenges, despite the sleepless nights and the endless responsibility, he was deliriously happy. He had everything that mattered: love, family, purpose, and the simple joy of building a life with someone who saw him clearly and loved him anyway. The millionaire who had attended his best friend's barbecue looking for distraction had found something infinitely better. He had found home. He had found family. He had found the single mom grilling burgers who had stolen not just his attention, but his entire heart. And in return, she had given him the kind of wealth that could not be measured in dollars or property values. The wealth of belonging, of being loved, of having people to love in return. As the stars came out and the party wound down, Marcus held his wife close and felt complete. This was what happiness looked like. Not perfect but real. Not easy but worthwhile. And he would spend the rest of his life being grateful for the day he walked into a backyard and saw a woman flipping burgers, completely unaware that she was about to change his entire world.